free as the sons of the wave. But among our ships, join us all our men, we always are ready. Steady, boys, steady. We'll fight and we'll conquer again and again. But among our ships, join us all our men, we always are ready. Steady, boys, steady. We'll fight and we'll conquer again and again. We ne'er see our foe, but we wish them to stay. They never see us, but they wish us away. If they run, why we follow, and run them ashore. And if they won't fight us, we cannot do more. Come along, our ship, join us, our men, we always are ready. Steady, boys, steady. We'll fight and we'll conquer again and again. Come along, our ship, join us, our men, we always are ready. Steady, boys, steady. We'll fight and we'll conquer again and again.
I left my darling the other day. We started quarreling. I went away. But now I wish, oh how I wish that I was back. I love my baby, indeed I do. And who knows, maybe she loves me too. But that's just maybe, and that won't do. All that worries me is someone else may be there while I'm gone. In my dreams I see a couple spooning on the lawn. That very thought just keeps me worried. I lay awake till the break of the dawn. I must hurry back, or someone else may be there while I'm gone. All that worries me is someone else may be there while I'm gone. In my dreams I see a couple spooning on the lawn. That very thought just keeps me worried. I lay awake till the break of the dawn. I must hurry back, for someone else may be there while I'm gone.
I was originally going to call tonight's program from the Provincetown Playhouse, which was founded by Susan Glaspell and her husband, and where they discovered Eugene O'Neill. But in the Zone, the O'Neill one-act play, was originally done at the Washington Square Players in New York. Both of these playwrights won the Pulitzer Prize for drama in the US. O'Neill 4 times for Beyond the Horizon, which Different Stages produced in 1986, Anna Christie, All 5 Hours of Strange Interlude, where the actors speak not only their text, but their subtext, and Long Day's Journey into Night. Susan Glaspell was only the second woman to win the Pulitzer Prize in 1931 for Allison's House, her play, which is based on the life of Emily Dickinson. O'Neill spent a year, or at least, at sea, and from that experience came 4 plays that take place on the SS Glencairn. In the Zone is the last of these plays after the US had entered the war in 1915. Susan Glaspell's husband told everyone that Susan was going to write a play in a week. So she sat down and wrote Trifles, which was based on a murder story that she had covered as a reporter. So we hope you enjoy these 2 one-act plays, and if you like what you see, please give a donation to Different Stages. Thank you.
Near 8 bells, Scotty. Rise and shine, Swanson. 8 bells, Ivan. Where's that air coming from?
Well, Dad, I don't feel nothing.
I can feel it. It's a draft. Damn fool, squarehead. Notion, report him. Serve him bloody well right. What's the use in blinding the ports when he goes ahead and leaves them open?
I don't see what little light go at just one part.
Dinna be alone, Swanson. Do you know ken the danger of showing a licht with a pack of submarines lying about?
That's right, Scotty. I don't like blow-up. No by devil.
I don't think there's much danger of meeting any of their submarines. Not until we get to the war zone, at any rate.
You don't. We're in the war zone right this minute, if you want to know.
How do you know, Davis?
Because Drisk heard the first and the third below to wake the skipper when we fetched the zone. About 5 bells it was. Now what you got to say?
Oh, I wasn't doubting your word, Davis, but you know they're not passing up bulletins to let the crew know when the zone is reached, especially not on ammunition ships like this.
I don't like this voyage. Next time, I ship on Windjammer Boston to River Plate. Load with wood only, so it float, by golly.
I hope British Navy blow 'em to hell. Submarines, by damn.
There's no the submarines we've only to fear, I'm thinking.
That's no lie, Scotty.
You mean mines?
I was not thinking of mines either.
There's many a good ship blown up at the bottom of the sea, what never hit no mine nor torpedo.
Did you never read of the German spies and all the dirty work they're doing all the war?
In the clever ways that they fool you.
Sure, I read it in paper many times.
Well, you gotta watch out. That's all I'll say.
Ugh, I tell you, this rotten coffee, it gives me bellyache. Ugh.
Dinna fret about the diving. If we blow up, you'll no be minding the pain in your middle.
Hey, bells, fellas.
I don't hear bells ring.
No? You won't hear any ring, you boob. Now we're in the war zone.
Is the boats already?
Sure, we can lower them in a second.
Oh, a lot of good the boats will do. But it's loaded deep with all kinds of dynamite and stuff I don't like. If a torpedo hits this hooker, we'll all be in hell before you can wink your eyes.
They ain't gonna hit us, see? That's my dope. And whose wheel is it?
My veal.
And whose lookout?
Mine, I think.
Hell of a lot of use keeping a lookout. We couldn't run away or fight if we wanted to. Better look up the bosun of the fourth, you two. Let him see you're awake. After report, Duke. What's the matter with you? You in a dope dream? He's a queer guy. I can't figure him out.
You nor no one else. He's liable to turn out queerer than any of us think if we ain't careful.
What do you mean?
Oh, blimey, if I don't think I'll put in this here watch outside on deck. I don't want to be caught in this, so if it's it's us. I Drisk. I say here, who's the dirty scut that left this cup's man? Where'd sit on it?
Smitty's. You think he's too much of a bloody gentleman and put his own away like the rest of us?
Well,
The Duke's all right. You know, supposing he did forget his cup, I mean, what's the diff? This war zone stuff's got your goat, Drisk, and yours too, Cocky. I ain't cheering much for it myself, neither.
Oh, blimey, that ain't no blatant joke, your first trip. To know there's a ship full of shells liable to go off and under your blooming feet, as you might say, if we get it a torpedo, or mine. Oh, cause they says human beings do. Blasted uns.
it's me last trip in the bloody zone, God help me. But they would take their 25% bonus and be drowned like a rat in a trap in the bargain, maybe.
Wouldn't be so bad if she wasn't carrying ammunition. Them's all the kinds of subs is laying in for.
For the love of heaven, don't be talking about it. I'm sick with thinking and jumping at every bit of an eyes.
Hey, Davis. What was he saying about Smitty when they come in?
I'll tell you in a minute. I want to see if he comes back. You won't be calling him all right when you hears what I seen with my own eyes. You won't feel no safer neither.
Oh, God blast it.
Come on, but it's clear outside the night, like day.
Where's Smitty, Scotty?
Out on the hatch, staring at the moon like I'm on half-daft.
Can you see him in the doorway?
Aye, he's still there.
Keep an eye on him for a minute. Got something I want to tell the boys, and I don't want him walking in the middle of it. Give us a shout if he starts this way.
Aye, I'll watch him. And I've something myself to tell about his lordship.
Well, you're out with it. You're talking more than a pair of old women would be standing in the road and betting no further along.
Listen, you remember when I wouldn't get the coffee, Jack?
Sure I do.
And I brings it down here same as usual, and I got as far as the door when I sees him.
Smitty.
Yes, Smitty. He's standing in the middle of the forecastle there, looking around, sneaking like at Ivan and Swanson, the rest of us, just to make certain they're all asleep.
What of it?
And listen, he was standing right there in his stocking feet, no shoes on mine, so he wouldn't make no noise.
Oh,
And I seen right away something on the queer was up, so I slides back in the alleyway, where I can see him, but he can't see me. And after he makes sure they're all asleep, he goes in under the bunks there, being careful not to rise the noise, mind. He takes out his bag. And he fishes in his pocket, he takes out a bunch of keys, and he kneels down beside the bag, and he opens it.
On. Didn't I see him do the same thing with these two eyes? 'Twas just that moment I woke and spied him.
You've seen him too, eh? And Scotty can tell you if I'm lying. So he bends down, he reaches out his hand, sort of scared like it was something dangerous he was after. And he feels around in under his duds. It's hidden in under his duds. It's wrapped up in him. It wasn't he. He brings out this big black box.
Oh, God blimey.
Ain't that right, Scotty?
Right as rain, I'm telling you.
There you are. And then what do you suppose he did? He sneaks in his bunk and he slips the black box in under his mattress. Just in under his mattress, mind.
and it's there now?
Of course it is.
Don't be touching it, Jack.
You needn't worry. I ain't gonna touch it. It's there, all right.
I'm gonna up it out on deck. It fair gives me the tremble sitting still in here.
Are you frightened, you toad? 'Tis a hell of a thing for grown men to be shivering like children at a bit of a black box. Still, it's damn queer, the look of it.
Bit of a black box, eh? How big do you think them things has to be? Big as a forecastle?
Oh, hell, I'll bet it ain't nothing but some coin he saved up. He's got locked up in there.
Oh, that's likely, ain't it? Then why does he act so suspicious? He's been on the ship near 2 years, ain't he? He knows damn well there ain't no thieves in this forecastle. And you know as well as I do, he don't have no money when he came on board, and he ain't saved none since, don't you? Listen, do you know what he done after he put the thing in under his mattress? And Scotty will tell you if I'm speaking the truth. He looks around and he sees as anybody's woke up.
I clapped my eyes shut when he turned around.
And then he crawls into the bunk and he shuts his eyes, pretending he's asleep, mind.
I could see him.
And when I goes in, I calls him. I don't even shake him. I just says, 8 bells, Smitty. In almost a whisper like. And he gets up yawning, stretching, fit to kill himself, as if he'd been dead asleep.
Oh, God blimey.
Word looks bad. Devil a doubt of it.
Now I come to think of it, there's the portal. Now how'd that come to get open? Tell me that. And I know well Paul'd never open it. He's always grumbling about it being cold, isn't he?
One that opened it meant no good to the ship, whoever he was.
What portal? What are you talking about?
There, it was open when I came in. I felt the cold air on my neck and I shut it. That would have been clear as a lighthouse to any sub that was watching. And suppose we all had the ports blinded. Who'd do a dirty trick like that? It wasn't none of us, nor Scotty, nor Swanson, nor Ivan. Who'd it be then?
Must have been his bloody lordship.
For all's we know, he might have been signaling with it. They does it that way, by winking a light, signaling. And like, ain't you read how they gets caught doing it in London and on the coast?
And what's he doing out alone on the hatch, keeping himself clear of us like he was afraid?
Keep your eye on him, Scotty.
There's not a move out of him.
But hell, ain't he an Englishman? What do you want to...
Listen, how do you know he's English? Because he talks it? That ain't no proof. Ain't you read in the papers how all them German spies they've been catching in England, they've been living there for 10, often as not as 20 years. And they talks English as good as anyone. And look here, ain't you noticed he don't talk natural. He talks too damn good. That's what I mean. He don't exactly talk like a tough, do it cocky.
Not like any toffers I ever met up with.
No, he don't talk like us, that's certain. And he don't look English. And what do we know about him when you come to look at it? Nothing. He never said where he comes from. He ain't said why. All we knows is he ships on here from London about a year before the war starts as an AB. They stole his papers, most likely. He don't even know how to box the compass properly. And that's queer in itself. He's never been open with us, like a good shipmate. Never. He always had that sly air about him. Like he's hiding something.
Oh, devil take me if you don't think you have the truth of it, Davis.
Letting on be as silly as and all. He's the son of a blasted earl or something.
And the name he calls himself, Smith. I'd risk a quid in my next payday that his real name is Schmidt. That's the truth known.
Oh, say, you guys give me a pain. What do they want putting a spy on this old tub for?
They're deep ones. And there's lots of things a sailor sees in the ports he puts in that'll be useful to him. Listen, and if he can signal to him and it blows up, that's one less ship, ain't it? Or if he blows himself up.
Oh, Hushman, here he comes.
It's a good light night for the subs, if there's any about.
You see him feeling, and it was there.
He ain't half a sly one with his talk of submarines. God blind him.
Did you see the sneaking looks he gave us?
If ever I saw black shame on a man's face, 'twas on his when he sat there.
He looked bad to me. He's a crook, all right.
What do we do? Listen, we gotta do something. Or
hell, it's only a piece of driftwood or a floating log.
or a mine that didn't go off that time, or a piece of wreckage from some ship they already sent down to J.V. Jones.
Oh, blimey.
I brushed it. No man at all could be putting up to the like of this. And I'm not one to be hearing anything or any man in the world would stand up to me face to face, but this devil's trickery in the dark. I'll throw it out with one of the portholes and be done with it.
Are you daft, man?
Don't monkey with it, Trisk. And I know what to do. Bring a bucket of water over here, Jack, will you? Scotty, see if he's back in the hatch. All right, sing out if he makes a move. Lift up the mattress, Trisk. Careful now. Take it out, Jack. Careful. Careful, don't shake it now, for Christ's sake. Here. Put it in the water. Easy. That's fixed it. The water will get in and it'll spoil it.
Yeah, good work for you, Davis, you scut. And now what's to be done with that black-hearted traitor?
I'll give him a shove in the mouth and heave him over the side.
That'll serve him right.
I say, give him a chance. You can't prove nothing till you find out what's in there.
Is it one more proof you'll be needing after what we've seen and heard? Then listen to me, and it's Driscoll talking. If there's devilment in that box, and we see plain 'twas his plan to murder his own shipmates that have served him fair, I'll choke his rotten heart out with me own hands and over the side with him. And one man missing in the morning.
No one the wiser. He's the balmy kind what commits suicide.
They hang spies ashore.
If he's done what you think, I'll croak him myself. Is that good enough for you?
So how will we be opening this, I wonder?
No, he's standing up.
We'll take his keys from him when he comes in. Quick, Trisk. You and Jack get beside the door. You grab him. This'll do for me and Scotty to tie him up.
He's turning this way.
Stand
He's
by,
coming.
cocky.
Righto.
If this is your idea of a joke, I'll have to confess it's a bit too thick for me to enjoy.
Oh, shut your mouth here.
You'll find it's no joke, me bucko, before we're done with you. Keep your eye peeled, Scotty, and sing out if anyone's coming.
If you'd be good enough to explain.
Explain, is it? 'Tis you'll do the explaining, and damn quick, or we'll know the reason why. Bring him here now. Here, you murdering swab. Do you see it?
Look at him. Surprised, ain't you? If you want to try your dirty spying tricks on us, you gotta get up earlier in the morning.
I thought you weren't half a fox, didn't you?
What do you mean? That's only... How dare... What are you doing with my private belongings?
Oh, yes, private belongings.
What is it, you swine? Would you tell us to our faces? What's in it?
It's nothing but... That's my business. You'll please attend to your own.
Oh, it is it? Talk easy now if you know what's best for you. Your business indeed. Then we'll go make it at ours, I'm thinking. Take his keys away from him, and we'll see if there's one who'll open it. Maybe. Try to kick it over, would you? Did you see him? Trying to murder us all to scut. Take that pail out of his way, cocky.
Aye. Oh, God, strike me, Pinky kicked me, he did. Oh, bloody, bleeding, rotten Dutch, I'll kicked me, will you? Oh, I'll show you what for, you bleeding sneak.
Ah, shut your mouth. You don't want to wake the whole ship.
Here you are, Drisk.
Ah. We'll soon be knowing.
Cowards!
Nix on the rough talk, see? That don't get you nothing.
This will be it.
Don't you open that box, Driscoll. If you do so, help me God! I'll kill you if I have to hang for it!
When I open this box, I'm going to be the one to be killed, me sonny boy. I'm no dirty spy.
Spy? What the bloody hell are you talking about? I only put that box there so I could get it quick, in case we were all torpedoed. Are you mad? Do you think I'm... You stupid curs! You cowardly dolts!
That'll be enough from you.
Cowards! Cowards, damn you! Rotten cowards! Cowards! Cowards!
I'll shut your dirty mouth for you. That'll teach you, miss naming a man, you sneak. Have your handkerchief, Jack. That'll fit your gab. Stand him up now. And tie his feet too, so we'll not be moving. Well, we'd best be taking this to the skipper, do you think?
To hell with the old man. This is our game, and we can play it without no help.
No bleeding officers, I says.
They'll only be taking credit for themselves and making heroes out of them.
Here goes then. What is it, Davis?
Looks funny, don't it? Something square tied up in a rubber bag. Maybe it's dynamite or something. You can't never tell.
It ain't got no works, so it ain't no bomb, I'll bet.
They make some all kinds, they do.
Open it up, Drisk.
Careful now.
Only letters. You're a hell of a Sherlock Holmes, ain't you? Letters from his best girl, too, I'll bet. Let's turn the Duke loose. What do you say?
Don't be so damn smart, Jack. Letters, she says, as if there was never no harm in him. How do you suppose spies get their orders and send them back to find out if it ain't by letters, such things? There's many a letters that's worser than a bomb.
Righto, I ain't as innocent as I looks. I'll take me oath when you read them. Not his lordship's letters, not by no means.
Well, read them and find out.
There, listen to him. Look at him trying to get loose. Ain't that proof enough? He knows well we're trying to find him out. Listen to me. Love letters, he says, Jack, as if they couldn't harm nothing. Listen, I was reading in a magazine in New York only 2 weeks back how some German spy in Paris was writing love letters to some woman spy in Switzerland who sent them to Berlin, Germany. To read them, you wouldn't suspect nothing. Just emotional. But they had a way of doing it. A damn sneaking way. They had a piece of plain paper that they'd cut pieces out of, and they lay it on top. And once it was on top, they sees only the words what tells them what they wants to know. The Frenchies get beaten a fight all on account of that letter.
God blimey, they ain't half smart bleeders.
And even if these letters of his do sound all right, they may be written what's called a code. You can't never tell. Read one of them, Drisk. My eyes is weak.
I'm no hand at reading, but I'll try it.
Listen to him. He knows. He knows. Go ahead, Drisk.
It begins, dearest man, and then there's a lot of blarney telling him how much she misses him and how she's gone away to singing school and how she hopes he'll settle down to do real work and not be skylarking around now that she's away like he used to before she met him, with him. And it reads, I love you better than anything in the world. You know that, don't you, dear? But before I can agree to give out my life with you, you must prove to me that the Black Shadow, I won't mention its hateful name, but you know what I mean, which might record both of our lives, does not exist for you. You can do that, can't you, dear? Don't you see you must, for my sake? And it's signed Edith.
Hell, what's the use of reading that stuff, even if...
Wait. Where's that letter from, Drisk?
Well, there's no address on the top of it.
What'd I tell you? Look at the postmark, Drisk, on the envelope.
The name that's written is Sidney Davidson, and 100 and...
Never mind, Dad. Of course it's a false name. Look at the postmark.
There's a foreign stamp. It's blurred, so it's hard to read. He spells it out, B-E-R. The next is an L, I think, and an N.
Berlin. What'd I tell you? I knew them letters was from Germany.
You rotten hound.
Give me the letter, Drisk. Maybe I can make something out of it. You go through the others, Drisk, and sing out if you see anything queer. I gotta give her up. It's too deep for me. So we'll turn him over to the police when we get in the docks at Liverpool, and they'll look through him. This one I got was written a year before the war started anyway. Find anything in yours, Drisk?
Well, there's all this, the same as the first, you know, loving Blarney and how her singing is doing, and the great things the Dutch teacher says about her voice, and how glad she is that her Sydney boy is working hard and making a man of himself.
Only we have the code.
Hello. Here's one addressed to this ship. SS Glencairn, it says, when we was in Cape Town 7 months ago.
Read it.
London.
Read it. Read it.
It begins with, let me see. It begins with simply the name Sidney Davidson, no dearest or sweetheart to this one. It is only from your chance meeting with Harry when you were drunk that I happened to know where to reach you. So you've run away to sea like the coward you are because you knew I had found out the truth. The truth you have covered over with your mean little lies all the time. I was away in Berlin and blindly trusted you. Very well. You've shown that your drunkenness means more to you than any love or faith of mine, and I'm sorry. For I loved you, Sidney Davidson. But this is the end. I leave you the memories, and if there's any satisfaction to you, I leave you the realization that you have wrecked my life as you have wrecked your own. My one remaining hope is that never in God's world will I ever see your face again. Goodbye, Edith.
What's that?
Look at a dried up flower. God stiffen us. Are we never going to turn in for a week of sleep?
The Mockingbird, whistled by Mr. John York Lee, artistic whistling for the Columbia Phonograph Company of Washington, D.C., accompanied on the piano by Professor Geisberg.
carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. I'm sometimes up, I'm sometimes down, coming for to carry me home. But still my soul feels a heavenly bound, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? Coming for to carry me home. A band of angels are coming after me, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me
Oh, this feels good. Come up to the fire, ladies.
I'm not cold.
Now, Mr. Hale, before we move things about, you explain to Mr. Henderson just what you saw when you came here yesterday morning.
By the way, has anything been moved? Or are things just as you left them yesterday?
It's just the same. When it dropped below zero last night, I thought I'd better send Frank out this morning to make a fire for us. No point in catching pneumonia with a big case on. But I told him not to touch anything except the stove, and you know Frank.
Somebody should have been left here yesterday.
Oh, yesterday? When I had to send Frank out to Morris Center because that man went crazy? I'd have you know I had my hands full yesterday. I knew you could make it back from Omaha by today, and as long as I went over everything here myself,
Well, Mr. Hill, tell just what happened when you came here yesterday morning.
Well, Harry and I had started to town with a load of potatoes. We came along the road from my place, and as I got here, I said, I'm going to see if I can't get John Wright to go in with me on a party telephone. I spoke to Wright about it once before, and he put me off, saying folks talk too much anyway, and all he asked was peace and quiet. Well, I guess you know about how much he talked himself. But I thought maybe if I went to the house and talked about it before his wife, though I said to Harry that I didn't know as what his wife wanted made much difference to John.
Let's talk about that later, Mr. Hale. I do want to talk about that, but tell now just what happened when you got to the house.
Well, I didn't hear or see anything. Well, I knocked at the door, and still it was all quiet outside. I knew they must be up. It was past 8 o'clock, so I knocked again, and I thought I heard somebody say, "Come in." I wasn't sure, and I'm not sure yet, but I opened the door, this door. And there, in that rocker, sat Mrs. Wright.
And what was she doing?
She was rocking back and forth, and she had her apron in her hand and was kind of pleating it.
And how did she look?
Well, she looked queer.
Well, how do you mean queer?
Well, as if she didn't know what she was going to do next, and kind of done up.
How did she seem to feel about your coming?
Why, I don't think she minded one way or other. She didn't pay much attention. I said, "How do, Mrs. Wright? It's cold, ain't it?" She said, "Is it?" And went on kind of pleating at her apron. Well, I was surprised. She didn't ask me to come up to the stove or to sit down, but just sat there, not even looking at me. So I said, "I want to see John." And then she laughed. I guess you could call it a laugh. Well, I thought of Harry and the team outside, so I said a little sharp, "Can't I see John?" "No," she says, kind of dull-like. "Well, ain't he home?" says I. "Yes," says she. "He's home." "Well, then why can't I see him?" I asked her. I was out of patience. "'Cause he's dead," says she. "Dead?" says I. She just nodded her head, not getting a bit excited, but rocking back and forth. "Why, where is he?" says I, not knowing what to say. She just pointed upstairs, like that. Well, I got up with the idea of going up there. I walked from there to here, and then I says, "Why, what did he die of?" "He died of a rope around his neck," says she, and just went on pleating at her apron. Well, I went out and called Harry. I thought I might need help. Well, we went upstairs, and there he was.
I think I'd rather have you go into that upstairs where you can point it all out. Just go on now with the rest of the story.
Well, my first thought was to get that rope off. It looked... But Harry, he went up to him and he said, "No, he's dead all right, and we'd better not touch anything." So I went back downstairs, and she was still sitting that same way. "Has anybody been notified?" I asked. "No," says she, unconcerned. "Well, who did this, Mrs. Wright?" said Harry. He said it businesslike. And she stopped pleating her apron. "I don't know," she says. "You don't know?" says Harry. "No," says she. "Well, weren't you sleeping in the bed with them?" says Harry. "Yes," says she, "but I was on the inside." "Somebody slipped a rope around his neck and strangled him, and you didn't wake up?" says Harry. "I didn't wake up," she said after him. We must have looked as if we didn't see how that could be, for after a minute she said, "I sleep sound." Well, Harry was going to ask her more questions, but I said maybe we ought to let her tell her story first to the coroner or the sheriff. So Harry went fast as he could to Rivers' place, where there's a telephone.
And what did Mrs. Wright do when she knew you had gone for the coroner?
Well, she moved from that chair over to this one over here and just sat there with her hands held together and looking down. I got a feeling that I ought to make some conversation, so I said I had come in to see if John wanted to put in a telephone, and at that she started to laugh. And then she stopped and looked at me, scared. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't scared. I wouldn't like to say it was. Well, soon Harry got back, and then Dr. Lloyd came, and you, Mr. Peters, and so I guess that's all I know that you don't.
I guess we'll go upstairs first, and then out to the barn and around there. You're convinced that there was nothing important here, nothing that would point to any motive.
Nothing here but kitchen things.
Here's a nice mess.
Oh, her fruit. It did freeze. She was worried about that when it turned so cold. She said fire'd go out and her jars would break.
Well, can you beat the woman? Held for murder and worrying about her preserves.
I guess before we're through, she may have something more serious than preserves to worry about.
Well, women are used to worrying over trifles.
And yet, for all their worries, what would we do without the ladies? Dirty towels. Not much of a housekeeper, would you say, ladies?
There's a great deal of work to be done on a farm.
To be sure. And yet, I know there are some Dixon County farmhouses which do not have such roller towels.
Those towels get dirty awful quick. Men's hands aren't always as clean as they might be.
Loyal to your sex, I see. But you and Mrs. Wright were neighbors. I suppose you were friends too?
I've not seen much of her of late years. I've not been in this house and it's more than a year.
And why is that? You didn't like her?
I liked her all well enough. Farmers' wives have their hands full, Mr. Henderson. And then...
Yes?
It never seemed a very cheerful place.
No, it's not cheerful. I shouldn't say she had the homemaking instinct.
Well, I don't know as Wright had either.
You mean that they didn't get on very well?
No, I don't mean anything. But I don't think a place would be any cheerfuler for John Wright's being in it.
I'd like to talk about that more a little bit later. I want to get the lay of things upstairs now.
I suppose anything Miss Peters does will be all right. She was going to take in some clothes for her, you know, and a few little things. We left in such a hurry yesterday.
Yes. What do I like? I would like to see what you take, Mrs. Peters, and keep an eye out for anything that might be of use to us.
Yes, Mr. Henderson.
I'd hate to have men coming into my kitchen, snooping around and criticizing.
Of course. It's no more than their duty.
Duty's all right. But I guess that deputy sheriff that came out to make the fire might have got a little of this on. Wish I'd thought of that sooner. Seems mean to talk about her for not having things slicked up when she had to come away in such a hurry.
She had bread set.
Oh, she was going to put this in there. It's a shame about her fruit. I wonder if it's all gone. I think that there's some here. That's all right, Mrs. Peters. Why, yes. Here, this is cherries too. I declare I believe that it's the only one. She'll feel awful bad after all her hard work in this hot weather. I remember the afternoon I put up my cherries last summer.
Well, I must get those things from the front room closet. Are you coming with me, Mrs. Hale? You could help me carry them.
Oh. Perhaps these.
Truddy, take maybe these won't work.
And this?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Ooh. Oh, my. It's cold in there.
Wright was close. I think maybe that's why she kept so much to herself. She didn't even belong to the Ladies' Aid. I suppose she felt she couldn't do her part, and then you don't enjoy things when you feel shabby. She used to wear pretty clothes and be lively when she was Minnie Foster, one of the town girls singing in the choir. But that was 30 years ago. This is all you was to take in?
She said she wanted an apron. It's a funny thing to want, for there isn't much you can get dirty in jail, goodness knows. But I suppose to make it feel more natural. They said, she said it was in this top drawer in the cupboard. Yes. And then her little shawl. Oh, it's always hanging behind the door. Oh, yes. Yes, here it is.
Mrs. Peters,
Yes, Mrs. Hale.
do you think she did it?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, I don't think she did. Asking for her apron and her little shawl, worrying about her fruit.
Mr. Peters says it looks bad for her. Dr. Henderson is awful sarcastic in a speech, and he'll make fun of her, saying she didn't wake up.
Well, I guess John Wright didn't wake up when they were slipping that rope under his neck.
No, it's strange. Must have been done awful crafty and still. They say it was such a funny way to kill a man, rigging it all up like that.
That's just what Mr. Hale said. There was a gun in the house. He says that's what he can't understand.
Mr. Henderson said coming out that was needed for this case was a motive, something to show anger or sudden feeling.
Well, I don't see any signs of anger around here. It's wiped to here. I wonder how they are finding things upstairs. I hope she had things a little more read up there. You know, it seems kind of sneaking, locking her up in town and then coming out here and trying to get her own house to turn against her.
But Mrs. Hale, the law is the law.
I suppose it is. Better loosen up your things, Mrs. Peters. You won't feel them when you go out.
She was piecing a quilt.
Oh, it's log cabin pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty, isn't it?
Mm.
I wonder if she was going to quilt it or just knot it.
They wonder if she was going to quilt it or just knot it.
Frank's fire didn't do much up there, did it? Well, let's go out to the barn and get that cleared up.
Well, I don't know. Is there anything so strange? Are taking up our time with little things while we're waiting for them to get the evidence? I don't see as it's anything to laugh about.
Well, of course, they got awful important things on their minds.
Mrs. Peters, look at this one. Here, this is the one that she was working on. And look at the sewing. All the rest of it is so nice and even. And look at this. It's all over the place. It looks like she didn't know what she was about.
Oh, what are you doing, Mrs. Hale?
Just pulling out a stitch or two that's not sewed very good. Bad sewing makes me fidgety.
I don't think we ought to touch things.
I'll just finish up this end. Mrs. Peters?
Yes, Mrs. Hale.
What do you suppose she was so nervous about?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know as she was nervous. I sometimes so awful queer when I'm just tired. Well, I guess I must get these things wrapped up. They may be through sooner than we think. Oh, I wonder where I could find a piece of paper or some string.
In that cupboard, maybe?
Oh, what? What? Well, here's a bird cage. Did she have a bird, Mrs. Hale?
Well, I don't know whether she did or not. I've not been here for so long. There was a man around last year selling canaries cheap, but I don't know if she took one. Maybe she did. She used to sing real pretty herself.
It seems funny to think of a bird here. But she must have had one. Why would she have a cage? I wonder what happened to it.
I suppose maybe the cat got it.
Oh, no, she didn't have cats. She got that feeling some people get about cats, they're being afraid of them. My cat, it got in her room once, and she was real upset and asked me to take it out.
My sister Bessie was like that. Queer, ain't it?
Why, look at this door. It's broke. One hinge is pulled apart.
Looks as if someone must have been rough with it.
Why, yes.
I wish if they were going to find any evidence, they'd be about it. I don't like this place.
But I'm awful glad you came with me, Mrs. Hale. It would be lonesome for me sitting here alone.
It would, wouldn't it? But I tell you what I do wish, Mrs. Peters. I wish I had come over sometimes when she was here. I wish I had.
But of course you were awful busy, Mrs. Hale, your house and your children.
I could have come. I stayed away because it weren't cheerful. And that's why I ought to have come. I've never liked this place. Maybe because it's down in a hollow and you don't see the road. I don't know what it is, but it's a lonesome place and always was. I wish I had come over to see Minnie Foster sometimes. I can see now that...
You mustn't reproach yourself, Mrs. Hale. Somehow we don't see how it is with some other folks until something comes up.
Not having children makes less work, but it makes a quiet house. And Wright out to work all day and no company when he did come in. Did you know John Wright, Mrs. Peters?
Not to know him. I've seen him in town. They say he was a good man.
Yes, good. He didn't drink and kept his word as well as most, I guess, and paid his debts. But he was a hard man, Mrs. Peters. Just to pass the time of day with him like a raw wind that gets to the bone. I should think that she would have wanted a bird. But what do you suppose went with it?
I don't know. Unless it got sick and died.
You weren't raised around here, were you?
Mm-mm.
You didn't know her?
Not till they brought her yesterday.
Come to think of it, she was kind of like a bird herself. Real sweet and pretty, but kind of timid and fluttery. How she did change. Tell you what, Mrs. Peters, why don't you take the quilt in with you? It might take up her mind.
Well, I think that's a real nice idea, Mrs. Hale. There couldn't possibly be any objection to it, could there? Now, just what would I take? I wonder if her patches are in here. And her things.
Oh, well, here's some red. I expect that this has got sewing things in it. What a pretty box. Looks like something someone might give you. Maybe her scissors are in here. Why? There's something wrapped in this piece of silk.
Oh, why, this isn't her scissors.
Oh, Mrs. Peters,
it's the bird.
But Mrs. Peters, look at its neck. Look at its neck. It's all other side too.
Somebody wrung its neck.
Well, ladies, have you decided whether she was going to quilt it or not it?
We think she was going to knot it.
Well, that's interesting, I'm sure. Has the bird flown?
We think the cat got it.
Is there a cat?
Well, not now. They're superstitious, you know. They leave.
No sign at all of anyone having come from the outside, their own rope. Now let's go up again and go over it piece by piece. It would have to have been someone who knew just the layout of the house.
She liked the bird. she was going to bury it in that pretty box.
When I was a girl, my kitten, there was a boy, took a hatchet, and before my eyes, and before I could get there, if they hadn't held me back, I would have hurt him.
I wonder how it would seem never to have had any children around. No, Wright wouldn't like the bird, the thing that sang. She used to sing. He killed that too.
We don't know who killed the bird.
I knew John Wright.
It's an awful thing that was done in this house that night, Mrs. Hale, killing a man while he slept, slipping a rope around his neck that choked the life out of him.
His neck choked the life out of him.
We don't know who killed him. We don't know.
If there had been years and years of nothing, then a bird to sing to you, it would be awful still after the bird was still.
I know what stillness is. When we homesteaded in Dakota and my first baby died after they were 2 years old. And me, with no other than...
How soon do you suppose they'll be through looking for the evidence?
I know what stillness is. The law has got to punish crime, Mrs. Hale.
I wish you'd seen Minnie Foster when she wore a white dress with blue ribbons and stood up there in the choir and sang. Oh, I wish I'd come over here once in a while. That was a crime. That was a crime. Who's going to punish that?
We mustn't take on.
I might have known she needed help. I know how things can be for women. I tell you, it's queer, Mrs. Peters. We live close together and we live far apart. We all go through the same things. It's just all a different kind of the same thing. If I was you, I wouldn't tell her fruit was gone. Tell her it ain't. Tell her it's all right. Take this in to prove it to her. She may never know whether it was broke or not.
Oh my, it's a good thing the men couldn't hear us when they just laughed, getting all stirred up over a thing like a dead canary, as if they could have anything to do with when they laughed.
Maybe they would. Maybe they wouldn't.
Oh, Peters, no. It's all perfectly clear except for a reason for doing it. But you know juries when it comes to women. If there was some definite thing, something to show, something to make a story about, a thing that would connect up with this strange way of doing it.
Well, I've got the team around. Pretty cold out there. Pretty cold out there.
I'm going to stay here a while by myself. You can send Frank out for me, can't you? I want to go over everything. I'm not satisfied we can't do better.
Do you want to take a look at what Miss Peters is going to take in?
Okay. Oh, I guess they're not very dangerous things these ladies have picked out. Nah, Mrs. Peters doesn't need supervising. For that matter, a sheriff's wife is married to the law. Ever think of it that way, Mrs. Peters?
Not just that way.
Married to the law. I just need you to come here a minute, George. We ought to take a look at these windows.
Oh, windows.
Right out, Mr. Hale.
Well, Henry, at least we found out that she was not going to quilt it. She was going to, what is it you call it, ladies?
We call it knot it, Mr. Henderson.